with all the conference realigning, I think what's happening is Notre Dame is trying to align themselves so that if one day they do need to go to a conference, that they've aligned themselves with one of the bigger conferences. And the ACC is, again, one of those conferences that's expanding and doing well. They picked up Pittsburgh, Syracuse already. Now Notre Dame. They've made some big pickups.
Now, it's funny because one of the things that I actually really like is the fact that you're going to see Notre Dame college basketball playing against Duke, North Carolina, NC State, some of the better college basketball programs where, let's be serious, they played in the Big East, which in most people's opinion is the best all-around college basketball conference. All around. I think, I like Duke and North Carolina.
Well, I think that changes this year, though, to the ACC because of Pitt, because of Syracuse. I mean, Syracuse is a big main fixture in the Big East. They were one of the biggest schools along with UConn, West Virginia, a few teams, but now that West Virginia's gone and Syracuse now leaving to the ACC, I think it really changes the landscape of things in the ACC because now you add teams like Pitt, Notre Dame, Syracuse
is a
to a
big
lineup
addition.
that already had Duke, North Carolina. Florida State played well last year. NC State's always tough. Maryland's always tough. It just makes it even bigger. I think they now become the conference to look at.
Yeah, that I definitely agree with. I would like to stick more because the college basketball thing is going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be. I don't know about you, Eric, but me personally, I love college basketball. I have a lot of fun watching college basketball. So we'll definitely be able to get into a college basketball type of preview week or something like that. They always do the kickoff night where they play 24 straight hours of basketball around the country. Like there's constantly a basketball game on for 24 straight hours. It's awesome.
Like the kickoff.
So we'll be able to really, get into that. But I really want to look at this from the football perspective for a little bit. And now, when it comes down to college football, I definitely think your knowledge exceeds mine. And you said something to me on the ride down about them looking at maybe making, 4 16-team power conferences.
Yeah.
For a guy that, really knows college football, at least in comparison to me, what do you think of that idea? Do you think going to that type of that setup where it's 4 power conferences compared to, 8, 9 different conferences that were out there a couple years ago? I'm curious to know for a guy that's a legit football fan how that comes across to you. What you think of that?
I actually don't mind the idea of the 16-team conference. I actually kind of like it. And I think eventually it's not going to be 4. It's going to have to be 5 because I don't really see the 5 I really see are the Big 10, the Big 12, the Pac-12, the SEC, and the ACC.
Okay.
I think eventually the Big East is either going to dissolve or you're going to see it kind of become a minor conference. They're going to lose their automatic bowl bid. I'm pretty sure of that. And especially when they go to the 14 playoff that they're going to be doing in, 2014?
They got this year and next year, and then after that they move over to the 14 playoff.
2014, they're going to move over to the playoff. And really what it does is it takes away those smaller conferences almost because you're not going to really look at those conferences because they don't play anybody. And all the good teams from those smaller conferences like Boise State, like TCU, like all these smaller programs that are moving to bigger conferences, it's going to make it even harder for those small conferences to get in. I just don't see it happening. But I like the idea of having 4 or 5 big super conferences because it makes everything a little bit more competitive. Everybody will have a championship game. Everybody will, I think it changes the landscape, but it changes it in a good way.
Okay. And see, that's what I was looking for because I didn't know how a college football fan really would feel. Because, over the past year or two, I've gotten more into college football. I have. But college basketball is more my thing. And for me, I've always liked the more conferences about college basketball because I've always liked the idea. really because I'm a Big East fan, so it wasn't hard for me to, I've always been a Big East
the
fan
Big East
conference-wise.
had 16 teams in basketball already.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay.
They had Seton Hall. They had a bunch of these programs that didn't necessarily have
Anything,
football
any other
programs.
type of,
So I think necessarily the Big East, especially basketball-wise, will be fine losing these teams because instead of having 16 teams, they're going to have, 12 teams
12
this year?
or 11, something like that.
So it's not going to necessarily be a terrible conference, and you're going to still have teams like UConn. You're still going to have some of the bigger powerhouses, Louisville with Pitino,
Which is always a
tough.
relevant team.
So, I don't necessarily see the Big East as far as basketball goes really going anywhere. But as far as the football conference goes, they're just not there.
And I mean, you know what? I mean, you got to really be honest if you're a fan of a Big East team in college football. Big East teams, for the most part, in college football have never really been relevant in a big like fashion. I mean, you had the biggest I could think of is you got West Virginia, who's been really relevant, and they're gone. And then you had Rutgers a few years ago with Shiano when they had Ray Rice playing. They went out and won, I think, 9 or 10 games that year.
10-2, I believe.
They played a really good year that year. I never forget watching them beat West Virginia in Rutgers and watching the crowd.
So got their new stadium or their new addition to the stadium down there built.
Yeah, because of that. Yeah, and I mean,
Shiano a lot of money out of Rutgers.
Yeah, and I think that when you look at it, I don't really see a big negative coming out of what moves that college football and college as a whole with the conferences is starting to make, because the simple fact of the matter is some of these smaller schools that might go to a bigger one of these conferences, you're going to get more exposure through this.
Yeah.
You
might make more money. It's about money too. Don't forget. I mean, as much as it's college sports
line.
And it's about the kids, it's about the money. Don't get it mistaken. Especially in college football, it's about the money, and that's why these teams want to move to the bigger conferences. I mean, Notre Dame doesn't necessarily have to do that because Notre Dame's football program makes money anyway.
Just by being Notre Dame.
By being Notre Dame, they have their contract with NBC as far as football rights go. I mean, every single Notre Dame game has been broadcast for as far back as I could possibly remember.
Since our dads were our age, now they've been on TV. Let's be serious.
So Notre Dame isn't going to necessarily lose anything by doing this. They get to stay independent, which was the big reason why they didn't move to the Big Ten. The Big Ten wanted them to be a part of the football program, and they said, listen, we'll take you in all the other sports, but you have to come in football too. And they said, listen, we're not coming in football. We want to stay independent. They're trying to hold on to that, but eventually they're going to have to give up the hold on that. So that's why I like what the ACC did, is saying, listen, fine, don't join our football program, don't join our football conference, but join in everything else and play 5 games a year against the ACC. Now, what it's going to do is it's going to stop traditional games maybe Notre Dame has, because they normally play Navy, Michigan State, USC, Stanford in recent years.
That's 2 Big Ten, 1 Pac-12.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that eventually they may either stop playing Navy and Michigan State and switch over to the ACC, but keep USC because I think USC is their biggest biggest rival. But I mean, it opens the door for great games like Notre Dame, Florida State, Notre Dame, Miami. There are some great games to be played, and in the coming years, Notre Dame, Pitt. Pitt's not a bad football program. They're not bad in basketball either. It's kind of one of those teams that they're always going to be tough. They recruit well out of the state of Pennsylvania. So, but I think Notre Dame made the right choice by doing what they did, and I think the ACC was really, really smart in how they handled it. And eventually, I not in the next year or two, but probably in the next 5 to 8 years, you're probably going to see Notre Dame join in football.
Make that switch, yeah.